Can you guys see Fuji-san back there? Just above the train lights, right there. Now you can't see it. Mount Fuji is outstanding today. Amazing. But I didn't start this video to talk about Fuji. I wanted to talk about how sometimes Japan really surprises me. As I think it does to many people. It's a very different part of the world, a very different culture. Last night I was watching a TV show with Yumiko. Emily had gone to bed, and we were watching a show called怖い日本人女性. And that basically means scary women. Interesting show. Japan has some fascinating television shows. And the subject was women that are scary. And for various reasons. It could be either for their outright behavior, exhibiting frightening behavior, or it could be because they're simply frightening because of their control that they have. That can be scary. Someone who has great control of emotions under stressful situations can be rather intimidating. Imagine what they're capable of. So the point in case, or the case in point, was the latter. It was dealing with a couple, a man who is a television talent, famous man here, and his wife. And she had invited him to go see a Michael Jackson concert. This was some years ago. She had a couple of tickets and invited him to come, and he had declined, saying that he had to work, and he had other plans. He was taking a mistress to the Michael Jackson concert. So he went to the Michael Jackson concert, and they did a reenactment on the television show. And as he was leaving the concert with his mistress, guess who he ran into? His wife. Now, he saw her before she saw him, and he was prepared for the worst. But they did a reenactment on the TV. She maintained total self-control. She walked up to him and addressed him by his last name, San, in a very formal manner. And said that he must be very busy these days, and politely he said hello to the mistress and went on her way. Now, the subject of the show was not this man's philandering behavior. Is that the right word? Not his adulterous behavior. That's a good word. It was his wife's self-control under this circumstance, where she would not make a public scene. She would not yell and scream and get all mad and the like in front of everybody at this public setting. And that was what was the subject. That was the point. That was the Kowai Ononoko Tachi. That was the scary woman part. And I kind of stood back and I was in amazement, because to my mind, the ability to maintain self-control in the face of encountering your husband with his mistress is of far less significance than the very fact that she encountered her husband with a mistress. Yet, so I questioned my wife about it, and she said that to the Japanese mind, that was a very impressive display of emotions, that not making a scene in public is a very important thing in Japan. For her to be able to control herself like that was an admirable thing, and rather scary. So they took this show a little further. Guess what they had in store for this man? He was the man, the adulterer, who was in the audience among all these other people that were guests of the show. And the hosts were there, and they had sent a remote camera to his home to interview the wife. And they made an appearance there, and it was all politeness. They came into the house, and she's bowing, "Welcome to our home. It's nice to have you here." And they questioned her about encountering her husband with his mistress, and her emotions, and how she was able to maintain control. And everybody was polite and kind through the whole thing. And guess who wound up getting angry? Not the wife, not the hosts, not a single person in the studio group audience. Japanese love to do things in group. It was a big group of people in this collected together to talk about this topic. None of them. The husband got mad, mock anger towards the hosts for visiting his house, and the host wound up bowing deeply in apology to him for having invaded the sanctity of his home to interview his wife. So I stood back, and after this is all done, I was just kind of in amazement, because in my own country had something like this happened. The man who had been caught cheating on his wife would have been skewered and roasted over a spit of fire by the audience, his wife, the hosts, the people watching on the television place in general. Everybody in general would have had this guy for lunch. And this is from a country, the United States, where we basically have more incidents, what should I say? Americans are Americans, and the incidence of cheating and the like is not, well, I shouldn't say it's more common than Japan. Japan has a lot of that as well, obviously, but how do I say it? It seems more open there. And I guess that speaks a lot to the fact of the point, right? It exists here, but it's kept under wraps, and this woman's ability to maintain control under that situation was an admirable thing in the mind of the Japanese. So I just wanted to point out as I'm walking along to work this curious phenomenon, to me, which was a curious phenomenon, that of this story that was told, and the main point was not the adulterous behavior or the man being caught, but instead his wife's demonstration of self-control under those circumstances. I think that's an illustration of the Japanese way of thinking, and how the Japanese greatly admire anyone who can master their emotions and control their temper and maintain decorum in a setting where harmony and social peace is desired. A distinguishing characteristic, I think, of the Japanese mindset. There you go, folks. Well, my fingers are freezing, so I'm going to sign off. Have a great day.